You know, when I'm talking about stopping the flow and doing the work and moving on, the work starts on day one. And the unfortunate thing is, and it's probably a fortunate thing as well, because it doesn't pile as much pressure on you. But the thing is that most people don't have a solid destination in mind, a place that they want to move on to at the beginning. So, you know, that's okay. You know, once you're determined to stop the flow of alcohol, the next best thing to having a goal that you're moving towards is just to focus on moving away from alcohol, right? To move away from the habit, to move away from your old self, that old behaviors, you know, putting distance between who you want to be and your old self, you know, so you're trying to stretch that distance all the time and put as much as you can in. You know, when I stopped drinking first, I just didn't have any clue where I wanted to go. I just needed to stop, and I knew that that's what I wanted to do. So, you know, another option is just to choose to take on a very generalized goal. You can say to yourself, for instance, I'm moving towards just making sense in my life. I'm moving away from the pain and the discomfort, and I'm moving towards trying to get some freedom in my life. I want some freedom from these things, from that pain and from that discomfort. And the pain and discomfort will give you good motivation, right? And as you're moving forwards in this life, you can try and figure out other motivations that you want, right? You can say to yourself, I'm just moving on towards more meaning in my life, or a more substantial meaning in my life. And like I've said before, my son has always brought me big meaning to my life in general since he was born. But, you know, you can't just find meaning in your children. It's just not a healthy way to live. If that's your sole meaning in life, you know, your kids are not there to give you your meaning. They're there to provide meaning for their own lives. So, you know, this wasn't something that I had firmly planted in my mind when I stopped drinking alcohol. Like I've said, you know, my life was all over the place when I stopped. And I think it's the same thing that any drug habit is going to get you, any destructive habit that you're stuck in will take you down that same road. It will just give you complication, and your life will be everywhere but straight, right? And you're fighting all the time against your best nature. You're fighting a battle against an enemy where, as long as you try to maintain that fight on its terms, you know, we spoke about this in another video, I'm not sure if we've posted this yet, where the enemy is not you, the enemy is not the alcohol, the enemy is the habit, and the enemy is the behavior. So you don't fight the enemy by going and saying, well, you know, I'm going to half kill myself for, you know, or I'm going to blame myself for this. You starve the enemy of its, you know, in terms of habits, you starve the enemy of its fuel. You know, if you try and fight the enemy on its own terms, then you're going to lose. You know, you have to sever all ties. You know, when I'm talking about, to clear it up a bit, I suppose, fighting the enemy on its own terms is trying to moderate the alcohol. That's fighting the enemy on its own terms. That's one example of it. Or switching out one drug for another drug. That's another way of fighting the enemy on its own terms. You'll always lose that. You know, severing the ties, you win the war. You win the war by refusing to participate. Like I've said before, the alcohol is nothing but a liquid in a bottle. Always has been, always will be. And when you refuse to put that liquid into your body to never do it again, there is no more battle. There's no more war. You've won the war. So, like I said, my life was a mess in so many ways, but particularly in terms of having that strong meaning in my life. You know, what was I getting up in the morning for? What was I going to do that was going to bring me any form of continuous enthusiasm in my life? In other words, why was I doing any of this stuff? Why was I doing any of it? You know, it was a big task. You know, it is a big task to set out and to leave when you're drinking alcohol, you're not only leaving the alcohol behind, you're leaving a whole host of other things, a whole host of other behaviors and thoughts and patterns and all that kind of stuff. So it's a big task. It's an even bigger task because, I felt that way. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what I was searching for. I only knew where I was. I was this 46-year-old bloke living in Spain, in pain, confused, lost in so many different ways, desperate to find some solutions, some clear solutions, desperate to find some clear headspace that I could think in, without that dulled mind, and that's not even something that I knew at the beginning. You don't realize how much your mind is dulled by this. So I'm a man searching for meaning, right? I wanted to live my life through that meaning. And it's confusing, it's when I think about those times and I go back to all that, those last months of drinking and then the first few weeks of not drinking, the first few months, I was confused. And it is confusing. Like I say, you're in this in-between world. You've stopped drinking alcohol. You're trying to leave behind the old person, but you're still living in that old mind. And you're trying to build a new mind, but you're still living in the old mind. So there's a lot of thinking to do, a lot of soul searching, if you like. There's a lot of sorting through your life. What are you going to keep? What are you going to have to get rid of? What do you need to learn? What do you need to unlearn? If you find yourself relating to any of this stuff, any of the things that I've done in my journey, any of the things that I'm talking about in my video, especially if you're at that crossroads and you want my help to stop drinking alcohol, we've got a free course. It's called The Beginner's Guide to Unplugging from Alcohol. It's in the description below, and it's really just a short and gentle introduction to some of the basic concepts from our main program, which is really designed to try and get you a bit more comfortable with the idea of permanently unplugging from this poison. And again, it's free. The links are in the description, as is the link for our main program, Habits Feed 2. And we all have unique stories. We all have our own unique challenges and motivations in life. And whether you're looking for meaning in your life, whether you're trying to reestablish connections with those that you care about, whether you're just simply trying to get a clearer mind, the journey of unplugging from alcohol is a really deeply personal experience, but it transforms everybody who goes at it, right? So just to keep in mind that the battle isn't won in the big decisions alone, it's won in those daily choices. That battle, the habit that was created by you was created in those daily choices. Each day there's an opportunity to move further away from the old self, from those old parts of our old lives that are just not serving us anymore, and to move closer to who we truly want to be, right? So take care of yourself, and I'll speak to you in the next video. Onwards and upwards, eh? Bye now.